Hey, what's up everyone? This is Peter with Midwest Mushrooms, aka Tiny Tink's Farm. So the urban farm we call Tiny Tink's Farm, the R&D and consulting Midwest Mushrooms. Anyways, so we just started the process of filling out loan paperwork for a microloan, and I found out some pretty interesting things. So we've been operating since 2018, and we didn't really know what we were doing. We just kind of got started doing something, growing mushrooms, selling them at the farmers market. So needless to say, we've wasted a lot of time without having a clear trajectory, and I want to have a really solid I'm going to give really solid advice on the business aspect of mushroom farming or urban farming in general, because the way we're going to go with our farm is going to be something that's more along the lines of an urban farm that uses mushrooms as a base to build soil fertility, and try to get mushrooms away from being like this niche product. Try to get a bunch of farmers and urban farmers that grow with mushrooms as a base for the way they're diverse products. Essentially permaculture farming with mushrooms. So what I found out, so we started off, I based my entire thing off of credit card debt. I spent like probably around $20,000, maybe $30,000 of credit card debt, just getting this started. I bought a bunch of crap I didn't need. I bought a bunch of stuff that was really expensive, and it was a horrible idea. Had great credit before, not so much after that. So needless to say, I defaulted on my loans. So the path that I recommend is to start selling something, some agricultural product. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be honey, it can be microgreens, it can be mushrooms, it can be a market garden, it can be something. To qualify as an agricultural loan, you only need to have $1,000 in sales. The other thing, to be a legal business, is you have to have bookkeeping. So you have to have sales, and you have to have bookkeeping. So few lessons learned here. We struggled around the QuickBooks a bunch, and I tried getting it started, and I paid bookkeepers, and I had paid people to clean up my books, and a bunch of other crap that basically just ended up costing me a lot of money and still didn't get my books done. So recently what I've learned how to do is just do bookkeeping with Google Sheets, and I'm gonna post a little thing. I'm gonna probably put a little thing on our Etsy shop, have it up for like $5. I'm gonna customize it to mushroom businesses and urban farm businesses, that are simple, because I think it'll probably listed for maybe $1 or something cheap, just to get it out there. So I'm gonna have a whole video on bookkeeping, but it's really simple. It's way simpler than I thought it was, and it is critical to my next step, which is getting agricultural loan. So if you have $1,000 in sales and you have a bookkeeping system, something like QuickBooks, or not QuickBooks, like Google Sheets, organized by category and income, whatever. I'll cover it in another video. So that's all you need to do to get $50,000 in revenue to start a farm. Actually, it's $100,000, because the microloan will allow you to have, if you have 1 year of experience, relevant experience, you have good solid financial books that show where your money's coming from, reasonable credit. I think it's like 620 is what's required, and 1 year of experience, bookkeeping, and decent credit. So that's it. So you take the income from your little business. Could be having 2 or 3 hives, whatever you're allowed to have, or having a chicken coop and selling eggs, or having one microgreen rack and then selling that at some evening farmers market, or creating compost, or having a market garden, or doing starts for plants. It could be anything, as long as it's agriculturally based. Make $1,000 in sales, track your expenses with a business account and Google Sheets, you will qualify for an agricultural loan. I know I'm being repetitive. I can't believe it took me this long to figure all this out. This is our 5th season, so it's a little bit nuts. They'll give you $50,000 microloan for an agricultural building or land, and up to $50,000 for equipment. So we're going through this process right now, and that's where I learned some of the details about like the $1,000 in sales. I was like, what? That's it? That's all I had to do? You know, looking back, that's what I would have started off doing. I would have done 1 year. I would have bought blocks, would have fruited them, would have made sales, built something really minimal, documented my books using a very simple QuickBooks keeping software, and then applied for this agricultural loan, which is very straightforward. And yeah, and then we would have gotten 50,000. So now that we're going through that process, I'm going to document how we did our bookkeeping, what expenses we cut out and what we need and what all. We'll go through the details of bookkeeping and running a business. And then I'm going to cover the agricultural designs for the system that we're designing. And what it is a greenhouse / mushroom grow. So it's 1,100 square feet. It's going to be in our backyard because it's the biggest structure they'll allow. It's going to be a 28 by 16, or no, 40 by 28 by 40, excuse me. That's what it is. So that structure is going to go in our backyard. The front half is going to be like a main part, and then the part that like splits off, and that part that splits off is going to be facing south. That's where it's going to have a ground to air heat exchanger. It's going to be a greenhouse, super high efficiency. And then in the back, it's going to have mushrooms incubating. And the incubating mushrooms are going to create residual heat and CO2 for the plants, and the plants are going to eat up the oxygen and, you know, lower the CO2, whatever. And they're going to use the heat and the CO2. So I'm really excited about this system. The third part of the system that we're going to do with this agricultural loan is we are going to create something called a rotary composter. So I've got a few designs I've been working on. And basically what it is, it's a giant culvert. It's about 4 feet in diameter. It's got a gear and a motor, gear reducer and a motor. It's like a 60-to-1, and then it's a 1600 RPM, 2 horsepower motor. Oh, anyways, that'll be a whole nother thing. We're going to cover how we built our composter. Anyways, as a farm, there's tons of agricultural waste. So you might see where this is going. We've got a symbiotic relationship between greens and mushrooms that are inside of a structure in a building. That building's going to produce about 400 to 800 pounds a week, which is pretty good. So if we do shiitakes, it's more going to be like more than 400. And we're going to have enough incubation for as much as we want. And then we're going to have a bunch of money from the microgreens, and all that stuff is going to create lots and lots and lots of agricultural byproducts, which you are going to put in the rotary composter. The rotary composter is a culvert. It's basically a giant black tube, 4 feet in diameter, and it's going to tumble this thing on wheels. And we're going to put in compost on one end. It's going to slowly tumble it, be at a little bit of an angle, and then at the other end, it's going to sift and then come out the other side. This will help us reduce our agricultural footprint. So, being that we're in a suburban plot, that's really, really important, because there's not enough, like there's so much agricultural byproduct from a farm that residential trash is not enough. Plus, it's a huge wasted byproduct. So we're going to be taking that agricultural byproduct and using it to sell as compost. We're going to build raised beds, and then we are going to also grow agaricus blazy mushrooms, or almond agaricus mushrooms, in our garden beds. All stuff I'm going to be covering in future videos. So anyways, we've been around for a while. I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of the knowledge that we've learned over the years and all the trials and errors, but then also documenting the process towards how we started this full-scale permaculture farm and made it sustainable for the environment and profitable for us to live off of. So if you like what you hear, if you learned something during this video, please like, subscribe if you're interested in one of the things that I'm talking about. I'd love to hear about it. My time is almost up. I got to get bagging. So we got a Thor bagger right here. This thing works awesome. And yeah, hope to see you guys at the Minneapolis or St. Paul farmers markets, or potentially the Hopkins one, which we're doing later on in June. So, all right, thanks guys. Take care. Bye.